Oh, hey, gang. Welcome back to Strangeville. We are live. My name's Kevin Strange, and my fellow there is a rabid orangutan
All right.
wearing a hat.
Wearing a hat. What's up, man?
Stinkhouse Brad
It's been a long time.
up in this piece. Yeah, listen, man. I was told when I got out of my appendectomy. I was told several things when I had an appendectomy. First thing I was told was that it was the easiest surgery in the world and that I would recover immediately. I had my friends texting me saying that their friends that worked hard labor construction had gone back to work 5 days after an appendectomy. All right, so either I am a fucking huge pussy, or, and maybe both, or when you say, oh, this is an easy surgery, it's easy relative to other horrific major surgeries that maybe take a year or longer to recover from. Because here I am thinking I'm going to, it's going to be no big deal. I'm going to get up out of the hospital in a couple of days and then go right.
Start fucking running. And
go on about
basketballs and shit. Yeah.
Go on about my merry fucking day. The reality is, I think I went back to work 2 or 3 weeks after surgery, and it fucking just climbing in and out of my car for work was killing me. I felt like I had a rubber band that had been pulled to its limit in my stomach, and every time I bent down or bent up, it was yanking it even further. And again, I was like, it was to the point. I think I mentioned this on a previous show when I first moved into my new place. I had to move a bunch of furniture, and my shit hurt just as bad as it did the day after surgery. And I actually called my surgeon and was like, I think I fucked it up. I think I broke something. And he goes, no, he's like, you're going to hurt for the next 3 to 6 months.
And you were like, fuck you.
And I was, and immediately, what jumps to my mind was, what about the motherfucker that went back to construction work 5 days after an appendectomy? All I did was move a little furniture around once. And this was,
building fucking houses and shit.
This was 6 weeks after surgery. 6 weeks after surgery, and it was hurting just as bad as it did the day after because I moved some furniture around. Well, it's not like that anymore. Things are fine now, but my recovery took a lot longer than I expected it to. And recovery from surgery and stuff like that, it's not always just physical. A lot of it is psychological, because I would become, I was accustomed to working 16 to 18-hour days. Getting up real early in the morning, driving to the office, and pouring myself into comic book creation, and then leaving the office with just a few spare minutes to get to my night job, and then work my night job till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and then just crash out as soon as I got home. So I'm pretty much
in the car on the way home.
Pretty much working from the time I got up in the morning until the time I went to bed at night, and that's what I love. I'm not bragging. I'm simply saying that is my lifestyle choice. If I have my way, I just work myself endlessly. And
when I had an umbilical hernia surgery a few years back, and it was the same way. They were like, "Oh, it's nothing. It's not going to be anything. You'll be feeling good in a couple of weeks." And I didn't feel good in a couple of weeks. I didn't feel it. I know what you're talking about, where you feel like you just need to kind of like fetal. You just want to kind of stay.
Yeah, it's like a rubber band is just pulling you into yourself like this, and every time you stretch up, it's like too tight.
Yeah, and you feel in your brain like you're gonna rip something. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Yeah.
And so there was a lot of the recovery wasn't just physical. A lot of the recovery was I had to recover from exhaustion. I immediately had to as soon as I got out of the hospital and went back to work, I went back to my night job immediately. But I also had I had right in front of me the fulfillment of my where I hadn't even started the campaign yet. I had to run a campaign for the 3rd issue of my comic book, and then fulfill that campaign and move all in the same time period. And so I just went back immediately. Yes, that issue issue number 3 of Dead Shit the comic book. So I immediately went back to my normal schedule, which was get up ass early in the morning, do my get my campaign ready, and as you're learning now, putting together a campaign and all the logistics of
shitload of work, man.
fulfillment and shipping is work in and of itself. So I would spend a lot of time during the day just prepping for my campaign, which is putting dozens of images together, making sure they're
part of it, dude.
Making sure they're sized correctly, but not just sized correctly. Like, you got to make sure they're the right images. This is your storefront. This is what's going to this is what's going to appeal to people and make them want to come in and back your campaign. And so it was a lot of like graphic design work. Like, you just pretty much become a full-time graphic designer after you've been a full-time comic book creator. And then I also shoot videos for my campaigns, and some of them are quite involved skits. And little short
films. Some of them you have weirdos make you into a puppet, and then
contact Stinkhouse Brad if you ever want to be turned into a puppet.
Yeah.
he's in the other room where I'd go get him and show him off. Right?
But everybody out with him.
But I tried to throw myself right back into my work, and because I had a lot of work on my table, even though the comic book was finished, and it was there was a lot of psychological recovery that was required because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't physically get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and start my day and work my day all the way through till 11 o'clock at night nonstop. Maybe a small, I like to take maybe a 30-minute nap in the middle of the day. If I can get out of the office 30 minutes early, I'll go home, take a 30-minute nap, and then go do my night job all night, and then go home and go to bed. So maybe I get a small break for a little nap in the middle. But after my surgery, even though I was told this is the easiest surgery in the history of mankind, I couldn't do that. I was sleeping till noon.
Yeah.
Just recovering, just physically, just the exhaustion from the previous day would keep me in bed all morning long, and I would crawl out of bed in the early afternoon and just be like, "Oh, I already have a full day's work in by noon most days."
I think I always felt like during my hernia surgery also that it might be that I'm just a little bit out of my peak. Like my body isn't at its peak fitness level. I'm just a little bit outside of that. Edging out, yeah. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe that makes it harder because I have just a little extra weight on my bones,
just a tad.
And so maybe that could be something with it, that it takes a little longer. They're like maybe telling you if you weigh, like what a normal human weighs, that it's easy. But I'm like, yeah, but what if it's like me, but I weigh what 4 people weigh? Then what's it gonna be?
Then there's also the factor of age. I'm 40 now, and I'm not 20 anymore, and it's not as easy for my body to recover. Which isn't to say it's impossible. And if you keep yourself on a good diet and good exercise, you can work yourself to death for 80 years. You can work all those long hours and those you can do that, but you have to prepare your body physically for that. And I was sort of already fairly out of shape last year when I went into the comic creation, and it did kick the shit out of me just sitting at the drawing table and drawing pictures all day, and then going and driving my car around at night. Those aren't exactly the most physically intense kinds of jobs you can have.
Yeah,
I was going home exhausted, and I was like, I wouldn't feel this way if I was in better shape. Then the appendix blew up. Then the recovery started happening. And so, yeah, the fact that I'm out of shape, the fact that I'm 40, it really, it was interesting. It was interesting the amount of time it took for me to recover. And I would say that I've been saying I'm 90% recovered for about 3 months. I would say I'm just now truly, really about 90%.
Now I'm like 91%.
Yeah. I think I was giving myself far too much credit a few months ago, but I finally stopped sleeping later. I'm back to my early morning schedule, but my actual output of work isn't what it was, and that's why the reason that I started this conversation this way was because you said it'd been a long time since we've done a show. Yeah. I haven't had the endurance
to do one,
to jump on here every day and do this, or even work all day.
Yeah.
The thing is when we do this show, I like to work through the show.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to put in more than an hour or a little over an hour of work at a time before I have to rest.
Yeah, I have been trying to, because I got all this comic book stuff going. I'm trying to get it going, and then I'm trying to get an Indiegogo going, and then I don't want to like a lot of people that follow me on Instagram. They just follow me because of my random art, So I don't want to abandon that either. So it's like I spend my whole day either trying to get like one thing going or another thing going, or find a little bit of time to draw something new, because I don't want my Instagram to turn into a spam page for my comic. I feel like I'll lose followers over that,
Right.
So there's like a balancing act of walking to keep people happy, and where they're not like, I fucking know you have a comic book,
Yeah.
I get it. So it's like a balancing act, I feel like, of keeping content on there that's cool and isn't necessarily comic book related, and then the gentle like spamming of your product, because like one time I posted a picture of my face on Instagram and I lost like 100 followers in like fucking 8 minutes. They were just like, that's what this dude looks like, get him off of. I know,
I've done that before. I followed a guy on Instagram with killer art, but he would post about it was for every 3 pieces of killer art, he would post 7 stupid fucking selfies. And I got to the point where I was like, dude, I don't like men. I don't want to look at men's faces.
It needs to be the other way. Post 7 or 8 drawings, and then maybe we'll handle one of your face.
You really need to post a picture of your face, but men don't follow other men. Well, I can't say that. Men shouldn't follow other men on Instagram to see each other's faces. Now, that's a whole nother conversation about how social media has feminized men, and men.
And we can go down that one. We know
men critique each other's dress styles and critique each other's popularity.
And I'm always like, dude, just be glad that I have on clothes.
Yeah,
don't even.
That's exactly right. It's like dudes shouldn't give a fuck why are you looking at what shirt I'm wearing in the first place?
I didn't even look at this shirt before I put it on.
Yeah, exactly. If a woman wants to come to my Instagram and tell me that my hats are stupid or my shirts are stupid, that's because she's a woman and she spends her day looking at men. Men that spend their day looking at other men and critiquing their fashion is, to me, it's suspect. It's very suspect. Or their popularity, like men that come after other men's popularity, like, bro, you don't even have any friends. It's like, do men need friends? Is that a thing? Am I supposed to have friends?
Yeah, I don't necessarily want friends.
Men need work and at most a dog.
Yeah,
that's about all a man fucking needs, and we can build a
pizza. Sometimes pizza.
We can build a fucking empire from rocks if we have a fucking maybe one friend that we can talk about it with and a dog.
Yeah.
So when men come at me and tell me I'm not as popular as them, again, I'm like, dude, what? Why are you trying to be Mrs. Popular in the first place?
Right. Yeah. Why are you directing that towards me in the second place?
As though I have to live up to your junior high school girl standards. Yeah. Anyway, it's been an interesting psychological recovery as I push myself further and further during the day to ramp back up and be able to work at the pace that I was working at before the appendectomy, and that's it's when you do like endurance running. Mm-hmm. And you build yourself up to be able to run a marathon. You build yourself up to be able to run 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles. Then say you get sick or you blow a hamstring or you have a hip issue and you have to stop. It's incredible how quickly the body loses endurance.
Oh yeah.
And it can be really disheartening for a runner who spent 3 months building up to being able to run 5 miles a day to then get the flu, be out for 3 weeks and find that they are back to only being able to do 2.
Yeah, I mean that's
like those. I lost 3 miles from the flu.
Think about like the athletes that get, like I'm always a hockey dude, but you watch these guys, they're like, oh yeah, he had a shoulder replaced fucking 3 months ago, and then he's out there sniping dudes, and then that's what I'm saying. I might just be a little bit out of my peak, and then getting a little bit older.
Yeah. Because we talk about that. We talk about that when we talk about hockey. I'm 100% convinced they inject those guys with endurance drugs all the time
and heavy like cocaine or something.
Yeah. What do they call them? EPOs?
Yeah, it's like, I want you to skate as fast as you can and run into everything you can hit on the way,
So anyway, I think I'm finally getting there. And so that's really why we haven't been doing a lot of shows. I haven't had the endurance to be able to, or the stamina to be able to really. I just haven't been working at the same pace. So it's like, why do a show where I talk about how I am not working very much?
Just like no talking and a blank piece of paper sitting there.
Yeah.
It's like both of us like,
Yeah, it's just a lot of resting. Like I've just had to do a lot of resting. Like I've been sitting on the couch watching TV, which is dumb, but because I don't like doing that. I really like my mental health is at its best when I have an insurmountable task in front of me that I have to break into smaller parts.
I've been having like I noticed something about myself is what I'm trying to get at the other day where I used to be a big gamer and I've cut a lot of that out because I spend all that time above a piece of paper now. But I have my little boy who loves to game, and then I have a couple friends that they work a lot, but they game when they get a chance, you know? And so I don't almost ever game anymore unless I'm on there with someone. But I've started to realize, like, I'll hit these dry patches where I'm like, I don't fucking know what to draw. And then I'll hop on my video games with one of those guys and start gaming. And I can be on there for about 15 minutes. And all of a sudden I'm like, I gotta go. It like does something to my brain where then I'll go over to my drawing table and it just starts coming out. So I don't know if it's that it's like you can, when you're thinking about your whole vision is just, I want to draw. Sometimes I think that it can kind of like, like lock, and then I'll stop thinking about it, go over to play video games. And it's like, it opens that,
Yeah, sure.
Back up.
Yeah. That's really what I've always used. Movies and TV shows have always been a creative stimulus for me. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like, I'll only ever really watch a TV show or a movie one time, and I never go back. Some people watch the same movie over and over and over and over again and can quote the whole thing. And it's like, to me, that is it's horrific. Like, to me, that would be torture. If you sat me in a room and made me watch the same movie over and over again, if I loved the movie the first time, by the third time, I'm going to hate it. Or not even hate the movie, just hate the experience. Like, why are you making me go through this thing I've already done before? Like, this isn't creatively stimulating me. And so for me, the stories in movies and the art direction and the costuming and the characters and the dialogue in movies and TV shows have always been a way for me to deconstruct what's cool about it and see what I can take from that and put it into what tools exist in this show that I don't already have in my toolbox.
Right.
And the same thing's true for comic books. When I read comic books, I am looking for what tools are being utilized by this artist and this writer that I don't already have in my arsenal. And then I'll try to hone those skills. And for me, that's the justification. Same thing's true with video games, but video games are a lot more labor intensive.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
And so that's how I've always, for me, entertainment has always been justified by using it as a creative outlet. Yeah. And like you said, when you step away from the table for a little bit, it almost opens up your creative juices to just stop thinking about it. And a lot of what that is you're being stimulated by entertainment, but if you do it in the right way,
it gets your brain starts to, like
spark. It can be a creative influence on it. It can be an inspiration to you. Like this new I've been watching this new Dark Crystal series on Netflix, this prequel to the movie, and it is so fucking amazing what they were able to do with puppetry in the current year of technology to regress back to puppetry. It is so. It's just as every episode ends, I just keep telling myself, like, this is one of the most epic fantasy stories I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah.
It is so. Have you watched it?
No, I've started to watch pieces of it. I want to watch it, but I know even like the old Dark Crystal dude was like, what in the fuck, anything. I think that was a big thing with Henson. Didn't Henson have a big hand in that, or it was
Jim Henson that did the original? Yeah.
Yeah, anything Henson ever does, it's even his studio now. It's bonkers.
And it's either his daughter or some female that has the Henson last name is the creative director of this series. So it's done by Jim Henson Studios. So it's the same studio, and it's some relation to him. Now Brian Henson is his son, and Brian Henson isn't involved in this. I find that interesting because Brian Henson did that god awful puppet movie a couple of years back with what's her name, Happy Time Murders.
Oh yeah, the one that was like filthy, kind of.
Yeah, it was, but it wasn't well done.
Yeah.
As a guy who loves filthy puppet movies, I wasn't impressed. Let's put it that I wasn't impressed. It was a poorly written script. The puppetry was nothing to be. It didn't, inspire. It wasn't inspired puppetry, and the story was pretty fucking lame. And I was like, and then I saw directed by Brian Henson. I was like, why? Why would Brian Henson put his name on this?
Puppetry is a lot more of an art form than some people realize that it is. You know,
and then to see him not involved in this Dark Crystal relaunching, I was like, what is going on with that guy? Maybe he's fuck my dad,
right?
Fuck puppets, fuck my dad
on this legacy.
Some kids turn out that way, man, where they get it stuck in their head that they can't be better than their parents.
Henson's a pretty high ladder to have to climb up, if you think about it, Jim Henson.
But some children do. They are able to step out of that shadow. Yeah. Even though they've been compared to their parents, they can do something a little bit different, or at least, I don't know.
On a really small level, nowhere near as big as that. I dealt with that as an artist with my dad. Because everybody saw my dad's art, knew my dad's art, and then when I would draw, they would expect my art to look like his, and my art's not going to look like my dad's, So it does take like a little bit of time to separate. Like that was what my dad did. I got to do what I do, And then it can be. But yeah, I know when I was young and I would draw, people would see my dad's art and expect that same kind of stuff from me, and it's just not. I don't draw that way.
I look at somebody like Joe Hill, who I think both guys are douchebags, but they're good at what they do. Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. Mm-hmm. What he did was he took his middle name. His name is Joe Hill King. He dropped the King and didn't use an author's picture. Mm-hmm. And he took the long road. He actually didn't become a famous author until he was in his 30s.
He didn't use his dad's name to get there.
He didn't use his dad's name, but he also hid his identity. He didn't use author photos because he clearly looks like Stephen King.
Yeah.
And so he took the long road, and he got published in magazines and shit, and in short story anthologies. And he had to build his name as himself.
Yeah,
he had to build a name for Joe Hill.
I respect a dude that does that, because that he could have slapped Stephen King's son on everything, and some of it would have sold.
And yeah, so he had a successful novel called Heart-Shaped Box before anybody knew he was Stephen King's son. Then he let it out. Okay, yeah, I'm Stephen King's. Because by this time everybody knew it. He became too popular, and he was being interviewed. He sounds like Stephen King. People were taking pictures of him. He looks like fucking Stephen King. So finally he was like, okay, publicly, yes, I'm Stephen King's son, but I wanted to do this. I wanted to know that I wanted to become a good author before I became
Stephen King's son, pretty much.
A million selling bestseller because I have the last name King. Yeah. And now the two enjoy doing co-writing novels and collections together, and they actually have there's a movie on Netflix right now called In the Tall Grass. That's a Stephen King Joe Hill collaboration novel that was then turned into a movie. So now he's at his dad's level. Like anything with Joe Hill's name on it will become a movie and will sell millions of copies.
It's cool that he did that without piggybacking off of his.
Yeah. He did it the hard way, and he probably became a much better writer because he did that. But also, he didn't shit on his dad's legacy. He didn't say, I'm not gonna be a fucking writer, or he didn't go writing some clown shit.
No, it kind of shows a massive respect for his dad's legacy. I feel like it shows,
And so he's one of those, like the offspring of someone that's considered a legend,
and also kind of like respecting that his dad worked hard to get to where he was, and he wanted to do that too, is what it seems.
Yeah, like. He did. Because I've read a lot of his stuff, but I read Heart-Shaped Box, and I was like, yeah, this motherfucker has a voice all his own.
Yeah,
this isn't just some Stephen King ape shit. Like he's not just a clone of his dad.
Yeah.
He's actually got a unique voice and that's a really cool novel. It's a novel about this basically Marilyn Manson, but not named Marilyn Manson. He's like a He was a rock star 20 years ago. He's obviously rich and famous. He can play music anytime he wants, but he's like over his prime. Like he's not the big rock star anymore. And he lives in this mansion. He's got this goth girlfriend. And his whole shtick is he collects ghost and murder memorabilia.
Yeah.
And he sees this, he sees a suit in a heart-shaped box that is supposedly haunted and will curse anyone who owns it, and he buys it because that's what he's into. But it turns out that this suit really is haunted, and once it gets into his house, he has a haunted rock star mansion, haunted by the ghost of murder memorabilia that he bought, and it ends up being a really cool fucking like ghost story novel because it's set in that weird perspective.
And what's that one called?
Heart-shaped box.
Heart-shaped box.
So it's just a ghost story, but I thought doing it from the perspective of like an aging goth rocker was inspired. I was like because I was interested in the character and the lifestyle.
Did you see? I saw a thing where my brother sent it to me yesterday. I didn't get a chance to read all of it, but something about they're going to come out with another Max, like the comic book, the Max.
Oh, for fuck's sake! I saw Channing Tatum's
production. Yeah. I was like,
is hooked into it, and it could be. Listen, man, the Max could be if done, because I've actually been thinking about that. There's a lot of comic book adaptations that go on now, and I was like, okay, what if we did get? And I'm just not because of this news, but just in general, I've thought for a long time, like, what would it even translate? Right. And I'm the guy that rolls my eyes when people say comic books don't translate to movies because they're just fucking storyboards for movies.
They are, yeah, that's what I mean.
But someone with a style like Sam Keith and a story as batshit crazy as the Max was much better suited to animation.
Yeah,
than is to live action.
That at one point, right? Max was on that,
which is why the Max MTV show was so. I mean, it was adapted word for word, shot for shot from the first 12 issues of that comic book, and it's awesome. Great.
Yeah.
So the question is, will Channing Tatum do that but live action the way, say, Zack Snyder did with The Watchmen, where he adapted that thing so closely to the original Frank Miller. I'm sorry, not Frank Miller. Alan Moore comic book.
Frank Miller, yeah.
That it's literally some of those scenes are shot for shot of those panels in that comic book, and some people criticize it for that it strayed too closely to the source material because The Watchmen isn't movie material. It's again, there's some. When you say comic books are hard to adapt, it's not most comic books are storyboards for action movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the Marvel movie empire, you could easily
adapt. You easily adapt Iron Man into a movie.
No, you think about when the first Spider-Man movie came out, it blew everybody was like, oh my god, it's great.
Spider-Man, easy. I mean, you just read a Spider-Man comic. It is a storyboard for an action comedy.
Yeah.
Period. But you get these weird, more intellectual style or artsy-fartsy style stories like The Max or Watchmen or a million others. And the question is, how do you adapt that into a live-action movie?
Right. Yeah.
And
like the Spawn that was done live action. That's such an amazing comic and such an amazing art. And I didn't think that the one that was live action was really that great.
No, it was absolutely a farce because they didn't because there are times when you trust the source material and there are times when you don't trust it, and they didn't trust it.
Yeah.
They didn't trust the source material. And what I mean by that is Spawn always has the fucking cape on.
Yeah, that's what
part of his costume. It's part of what makes Spawn Spawn.
When you see you'll see like what are they called fucking splash pages in Spawn books, and like over half of them are a cape.
Yeah,
over half of the picture, is
just the cape. Yeah, it's like 75% cape.
And then
so to have his character walk around and just like shit the cape out of his back every once in a while. And the cape was a living organism. The cape would strangle people. The cape was under his control. It was a living entity. It never stopped.
A tail on a monkey. It was
it was always convulsing and twitching. And to take that fundamental part of Spawn's character away from the movie most of the time was just again, it was like you don't understand the source material.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was hard. You didn't want to spend the money to have the cape around all the time,
yeah, right.
but that's one of the challenges you have as a filmmaker if you're going to adapt this material. And so there's even like I read that article about Channing Tatum's production company, and people are asking, is Channing Tatum going to be the Max? It's like you don't even understand what the Max is.
That's he's a. It's like I hope not. You know,
he's a fat 40-year-old homeless guy. He's a fat schizophrenic 40-year-old in a mask.
Yeah, you'd be more suited to put like Danny DeVito in that costume,
right? And let's talk about that. Who do you think could play the Max and do it justice to the comic book without fundamentally changing?
That one, he was like a mayor or something that got in trouble for smoking crack a whole bunch. That guy, he could be the clown in Spawn for sure.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know who could play who would play the Max. It would be a weird thing to try to find the right guy.
You would have to find an inspired casting choice, and you could do,
the thing about it is with like with Superman or Spider-Man, a lot of times you're looking for like it kind of sounds gay, but like a handsome hero. You get what I'm saying?
With Max, which Max is not. You never even see Max's face.
Yeah, but
Max doesn't have a human face.
He can't be a beanpole thin. He can't be like jacked.
He's a bulky fat mess.
Right.
And you never see his face. When he takes his mask off, he's a rabbit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So, there is no actor under that thing is what I'm trying to say. And so you're talking about either fundamentally changing what the Max is, or you have to do that.
Or so is he weird where he's CGI'd?
I was going to say, is he a CGI character? And then you just get Vin Diesel to do his voice.
Yeah,
which would be fine. Like Vin Diesel's voice would work, and maybe even motion capture. But you'd have to motion capture Vin Diesel and then make him big and fat.
Well, plus the way that the Max looks all the time, he's kind of like hunched over most of the time, and he's got.
That's the thing is when he like comes alive, he's got jacked arms.
Yeah, but he's most of the time he's almost like kind of like.
But he's got a pop belly. He's got hunched over shoulders, rolled shoulders. But when he actually comes alive in the fucking outback and starts fighting monsters, he's jacked.
He's very much so. If I think about him, he's very much like a silverback gorilla.
Very much so, yeah.
Like when you see a silverback and he raises up, you're like, oh my god! But he's still got this belly. Yeah, and he's still got but you can tell like this thing can smash anything.
Yeah, he really does. He is more gorilla-like than human-like.
Yeah, that's what I've always thought of him as like a silverback. When you always like crouched.
When you talk about making that movie, like what are you doing? Like what are you gonna do? That movie it's gonna be such an art house, weird movie with sporadic action, but lots of like introspective monologues about what it is to be the victim of sexual violence.
Yeah, I feel like that movie would either be a home run or a fucking straight in the dirt.
Here's the pitch. It's a fat gorilla that never takes his mask off, that spends his time talking about depression and schizophrenia, whose girlfriend is a rape victim, who spends her time talking about owning her sexual like the sexual violence she's been subjected to throughout her life, and then a sadistic villain whose goal is to rape and kill everyone.
And that's a lot different than Peter Parker shit.
That's what I'm saying. It's a heavy story.
I don't feel like there's a way that needs to be an R-rated movie for sure. If I feel like it won't be done right if they do it other than if it is R-rated.
Yeah. So it's and then when you go into the outback, like how are they going to do that live action? Like now you're talking, this is like maybe they do it. You know how they call the Lion King live action? Newest Lion King, but it's all fucking CGI.
Insane.
It's not live action. It's fucking animated. It's just computer animated instead of pen and ink animated. You would almost have to do this movie the way what is that Bob Zemeckis, he does those like rotoscope animated movies like what is the movie about the train with Tom Hanks? It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Can't think of the name of it.
My woman would know it because she's a Tom Hanks maniac. But I know what you're talking about.
It would almost have to be like rotoscoped animation, even as quote unquote live action.
I mean, you've seen some of these movies, like the Hulk. It's a he's CG. Well, I think probably in both of them, the Edward Norton one and the Eric Bana one. But so I mean, and I think that especially the Edward Norton Hulk, he's awesome. The Hulk looks fucking amazing in that movie. You know.
So I that's what I say. You got to cast Vin Diesel, and then you do motion capture animation to make him look like a gorilla, a big purple gorilla.
Yeah, because that's
giant hands. How are you going to make his hands? His hands.
Well, that's what I was sitting here thinking about. His feet. His feet are like,
feet don't look anything like
up to like his neck and height.
Yeah,
he's got like
feet. Because that's the thing about Sam Keith. His drawing style is not proportionate.
No,
he does not draw proportionate characters. They do not resemble human beings. They are cartoony.
Yeah,
and the Max's feet are 10 times the size of his fucking head.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're the size of his torso. If you stood him
when you draw the Max, he's a circle, and then 2 huge triangles and 2 small rectangles for hands.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I saw that yesterday, and I was like, man, this could be a bloodbath.
Have you ever seen him draw Wolverine?
Yeah, I have, and it's all. I
think Wolverine is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
It's basically the Max in Wolverine's costume.
Yeah, because my brother is the one that told me about that, and I was like, I don't know why, but that's like the perfect character for him to draw would be Wolverine. I feel like he could probably draw a badass Hulk also, or like the Beast, Juggernaut.
I don't know if I've ever seen him do the other X-Men, but he's done Hulk and he's done Wolverine. He's done Nightcrawler. His Nightcrawler is really creepy.
Nightcrawler is one of my favorite X-Men. It's cool. But you would feel like he could draw a really red Beast or a really red Juggernaut, you know.
Yeah. But let's talk about our stuff. We haven't even talked about our stuff. It's big time. It's big time right now going on. So let's. I'm gonna switch just to you, and.
I'll show you some of my things.
We got it's big time.
You got this bad boy right here, pumping out.
Yeah, so that's your Life with Riggs poster.
18.
That's bigger than my. It's bigger than my poster, but most people's posters are bigger than my poster.
Well, it's probably because shipping these things is a fucking heart attack trying to get it done. But
I was trying to make a small dick joke, but
I get you. It was so small it went right over my head. Yeah. That's my poster, and then I got the book right here. It's fucking fully printed.
So this is a standalone comic, right? Standalone.
Yeah. Every one of these stories that I'm writing, they you don't have to have read the one before to understand them or to like them. You know, they it's just like it's always like the same Junior, who's my redheaded little kid. And Riggs, which is his like paranoia, delusional voice in his head. But every one of these books is their own story.
Get that covered closer.
You're getting a fucking glare on it real bad. But
there it is.
Turned out pretty cool. I just did the pissed drunk gnome on the back of it. And then I'll just give you a quick little, you can see it's all done, man. And they got it done. Yeah. I put a lot of time into it. I put some of the Indian pages where they're actually on Gardonia. And then I lined my inside cover. That's what I'm going to do with all mine. And the back cover, like the inside of both covers is done with concept art. It's just like a collage, pretty much, of shit that I drew thinking about, making this book.
Hell yeah, dude.
And it's fucking really cool, dude. It's way different than anything I've ever experienced, because up until this point, I've always just, other than the few puppet shows I made, other than that, everything is just I drew a drawing and then put it online. This thing it's really it's like more gratifying than anything I've ever done. It's also more challenging than anything I'd ever done up to this point, but once it's done and you're holding it, it feels amazing, So there's
It always looks so much better once you've got it printed, doesn't it?
It does.
Like having that printed comic in your hand is so different from looking at it on a computer screen.
Yeah, it's really that to me was part of it. It's really weird when I start.
Show that shock page. Show that page where he's at.
Oh yeah, where he's getting zapped. You see that?
That's a fucking good one. I love that picture right there.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can tell, but Grandpa's got the plug to the helmet stuck up his ass still. He's going to be plugged into Junior's butt because everyone knows that the asshole is the power socket of the human body, you know? Yeah, it was a ton of fun, dude, and I have a second one already started as far as like it's thumbnailed and I'm getting ready to move it on. I put threw up some Strangeville love in there. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was tons of fun and I don't know, dude. I didn't feel I was nervous when I sent it off because I'd never sent anything digitally off to have come back printed. I had never seen, you know.
Oh, it's nerve-wracking, man.
Yeah, and then the second it came back, I got my proof and I was like, I'm happy with that, you know.
Did you make any changes, or did you go straight to print from?
No, I made 0 changes. We were really careful, and luckily I talked to you enough to kind of understand the template. You know what I mean? And we didn't have to change anything. We just had to say it's good to go. That's
a good feeling.
Yeah, it was cool. But honestly, even if you have to change shit, it's not really a hard thing to do. You know,
no big deal at all.
I have some trading cards somewhere too, and I'm not sure what happened to those. But I made 2 trading cards that will go. Every issue of this book that I make will come with 2 trading cards and a poster. That's just how I'm going to do it. Yeah. And then you can either buy the book from me by itself, or you can buy the book, the poster, and the trading cards. It's just going to be pretty much like 2 options because I think the trading cards are cool, but they're not like something that I don't picture. If someone's going to want to buy the trading cards, they're going to want to buy at least one of the other things too, you know? So the trading card, every issue of this I make will come with a trading card and a poster, but the other posters might be a little smaller than this one because this thing is really big and challenging to ship pretty much.
Tell them how to get it. I'm going to go take a shit real quick. Because I'm like, I got to cut this short. I got to shit, but I'm just going to let you.
Can we get the audio on that? Can we get the audio?
Well, hopefully you won't hear it. The bathroom is right next to where we're recording. I'm actually going to mute myself so that you don't hear me.
You can get this comic from me and these posters and my trading cards on my Instagram. You can DM me on my Instagram. Up in them DMs. You can hit me up on Facebook. You can throw a rock at my house until I come outside. You could, I don't know, smoke signals. If I can see them, I would bring a book to a smoke signal. But no, my Instagram right now is the main way to get it. It's and I think Kevin will probably put a link to my Instagram in here. If not, it's just Stinkhouse Studios. It was fun, and I'd love for you to all get to check it out and laugh and tell me that you like it or tell me that you hate it or don't tell me anything. It's pretty much whatever you want to do with it. I have the second issue that I'm going to write is about a Sasquatch that's loose in their town, but he's like a cyclops, and he looks like a thumb. He's actually the thumb squatch. And I have that thing all storyboarded. I just haven't started actually putting it together yet. So, yeah, that's it. Life with Riggs, The Legend of Lumpgore, finally hammered out. I really wish, and I know you've probably all gotten sick of seeing these, but these are Kevin's books that if you haven't seen or picked up yet, you should fucking grab some of these things. At least a baker's dozen or so of them you should probably grab. So that's what's going on. And Kevin's probably like a 45-minute pooper or something, which I would hope not, but that would be strange if he was. But I mean, he is Kevin Strange, so it could very well be a 45-minute pooper. I don't know. Other than that, I post art on Instagram every day. Not always related to my comic, but you could get on there. I got a bunch of my art behind me here. And these are my little kids. This is like a weird kind of my art because I did make them too, I guess. And I don't know. Now it's just my big head. Look at how I'm going bald. So you should check this out. This is a thing that's pretty cool that happens to you as you start to see balding. There's a crystal. I like crystals a lot. Oh yeah, I was gonna show you guys these. These are a pair of Vans that I went into the Vans online thing and like decorated them and put this drawing of mine on the front of them. This camera freaks me out. I'm always wrong with it. But they turned out really cool. I didn't know you could. I knew you could design Vans custom. They got like some space on the side of them there, but I didn't know that you could put your own designs on them on like the front of them. You can't put your own stuff on like this panel, but you can put your own artwork on these panel. And it took a little bit longer to get them back than if I just ordered a normal pair. It probably maybe like I think it was probably like a 3-week wait or something. But they turned out pretty cool. I was really happy with them. So anybody that has anything cool that like to stick on a shoe, it's really pretty easy once you get in there. It walks you through how to do it and the color. I was worried about how the colors would turn out on them and stuff. But they're bright and they pop and they're cool. And every time I wear them, someone is like, "What kind of clown are you?" Pretty much. So, let's see what we got going on. And if anyone's talking shit to us in the live comments, they're not. Nobody cares about us. Nobody cares about us. So, now I really don't know what happened to those trading cards, and I really would have liked to have showed them to you.
Sorry, dude.
Good. We just had a bit of a conversation.
I ate some salmon with hot salsa before we went on, and it just fucking my butthole is on fire. I felt it gurgling as we started talking. I was like, "Oh no!" And I was really holding it back, and I was like, "I'm gonna have to cut this short." But
I just showed him my stuff and then rambled at him, and then
I could hear the whole thing.
To see how upsetting this is starting to be, this whole deal.
I could hear the whole thing. I was like, "Oh, he's choking."
No, I wasn't joking. I'm just weird overall. You know,
I was like, he ran out of material.
Yeah, no, I didn't get it, dude. I guess.
Are you selling those Vans, dog?
Not that pair's mine, but pretty much, if someone wants to get one of my pictures and make a pair of their own, I don't care at all. They cost $90 to make. I think I showed them.
God damn, $90?
Yeah. That's why I don't know how often I'll do it, but I at least wanted to see it once. This fucking camera, man, it fucks me up. But they turned out really cool. But yeah, they're It's $90 for a pair. But dude, you design. I mean, all the way from the black to this color binding, all this binding around here, this end cap color. I mean, you can do all kinds of shit to them, and it is pretty cool. But yeah, they're $90. But
what's a normal pair of Vans go for?
I mean, they can be like $60, $40 to $60, depending on, just like a plain color one. If you get I always usually wear the checkerboard tops, but even some of those, when you're buying checkerboards, if they're not black and white, if you're buying weird colored checkerboards, they can get a little more expensive. But Vans last a long time, dude. They're a good built shoe. They're almost the only shoe I kind of like to wear. I used to wear a lot of Chuck Taylors too, but as I've gotten older, I wear mostly Vans, and I think it's just because I can slip them on, honestly, and I don't have to fucking It's the same reason I'll wear Crocs. I remember like years back, I'd be like, I would never wear Crocs in public, and then now every time I'm leaving the house, I'm like, where's my Crocs? Like, I just you stop caring,
So I guess my turn. Everybody, I let the cat out of the bag.
Should I poop while you're doing this, you think?
I've already announced this. I let the cat out of the bag a little early. It tends to be what I do, and I've gotten some flack over the years because I'll get excited about a project and I'll announce it, and then I'll lose interest in it and move on to something else. And people give me grief about that. And that's why I wouldn't commit directly to a second comic book right away, because I honestly did not know what the next thing I was going to do was once I finished the Dead Shit comic book trilogy. You know, it's 120 pages of comics, it's a fat graphic novel, you know, worth of comics, and I spent a year on it. And I you know, I loved the process, so I wanted to do another comic book, but I also felt like my art wasn't quite up to where I wished it would be. And you can't compare yourself to other people. So I'm not saying that my art wasn't as good as someone else's art, but my art just wasn't doing it for me, like completely. I felt like I was about 75% where I wanted to be. I felt like I needed to build my art quality another 25%. And so I talked to you before, and I may have mentioned this on streams, that I wanted to wait an entire year between comic book projects and just work on my art.
Yeah.
Just concentrate on drawing and trying to get the fundamentals down better so that I was where I wanted to be as far as my art was concerned. And part of that whole rehabilitation here at the house was trying to figure out what that next project was. And you guys saw me drawing a bunch of sharks, but I never committed to saying the next thing I'm going to do is this shark book. I was just practicing and practicing, but I got to the point where I was like, I can't just draw random pictures of shark guys for the next year. That's not going to cut it. I can't just sit here and draw. Like, I have to have a project. I can't just do random drawings. I have to have a goal with those. Like, I have to have an end to justify the means. And I was like, okay, well, then I have to do another comic book. I have to just jump in and do another comic, and 2 or 3 comics from now, I'll be where I want to be art-wise. You know, I'll just keep building, getting better, get where I want to be art-wise. And then my order came in for fulfillment for the campaign for Dead Shit, and I got my hands on those trading cards for the first time. My set of 5 trading cards that I made for the Dead Shit campaign stretch goals, and I loved those cards so much. They looked so fucking cool in my hand that it got my brain itching to make a trading card game. And I've been wanting to make a game for a long time, since before I sat down to do the comics. I had played around with a tabletop board game, an idea for a tabletop board game, and I didn't get very far because they're really expensive. And I was going to have to I was looking at having to raise definitely more than 10 grand in a crowdfunding campaign if I was going to successfully do this board game. Otherwise, the boards, just to go to a custom board game website and get a custom board, a couple of minifigures, custom dice, and custom cards. Each of those fucking boards, like each game, like once it was put in a box to sell to you, it's going to cost me like $75 or $80.
Jesus Christ!
Unless I ordered enough that it would cost me in the tens of thousands of dollars to buy bulk enough to drop that price down to like $50. So I was like, well, I'm going to have to crowdfund it, and I had never done a crowdfunding campaign before, so I pretty much dropped the idea. And then the comic came around, and that's really one of the main reasons I wanted to give crowdfunding a try, was because of projects like the board game that I knew were impossible unless I ordered in the hundreds of units that would drop the price down to something manageable. And so doing these comic book campaigns really gave me, well, just let me know where I was. Let me know how much I could really sell, how much I could raise, how many backers I could entice with a Strangeville project, and realistically where I was as far as raising money goes. So that it was a good lesson. Like doing the comics that way was a great lesson in where I was in the marketplace, as far as what my marketplace value is, as far as a creator. And so my mind started bubbling around, like maybe it is time to do a game, and because that board game didn't have anything to do with Hack Movies, the characters of Strangeville. and then the comics show that there's still life in Strangeville. There's still people that are passionately in love with those characters. And I was like, what if I did a fucking Hack Movies card game? What if I did a card game set in Strangeville with just the characters from the movies? And it got my brain going and going and going. And check this out. Check out where I am on this project. This is me announcing this is my next project for sure. 100%. This is going to be my next project. I'm gonna take up the whole screen here for a minute.
Yeah.
So I just want to show you guys what this looks like just on paper, what it looks like. This is just a page of notes about little tweaks and changes to make to the cards. This is me just trying to scratch out what the rules are going to look like how to describe to someone who's never played before how to play it. That's another just page of.
I personally am a fan of just Kevin Strange's notebooks like this.
So this is me. I think these are character cards. This is all character cards and what they do. Another page. This is all different. This is more character cards continued. This is different types of cards, action cards. And so this is what I start doing. Page after page after page of extensive notes as I'm figuring out how this game works, what this game even is about. And so, long story short, I've spent the last couple of months really hammering away on this. And right here, this is my beta deck. This is an actual deck of Strangeville Smokeweed, the card game. And again, I've shown I always get excited and I talk about stuff too early. I've shown pictures of this on the Instagram and shit. But this is these are beta. I took a set of blank note cards and I wrote out I just in text form I wrote out the characters and the action cards and the weed cards. And then each one of them is just, the back just says Strangeville Smokeweed, the card game. So this is an actual playable demo of the game that has all of the rules for the cards and everything that takes to play the game is listed right here.
It's what they call a pre-production version.
It's a prototype version of the game, and it's completely finished. This is a completely finished. This is the Titty Temptation, man. So this is and I've been beta testing this with a couple of my friends that are really knowledgeable about card games, different types of card games like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, those types of cards, those types of card games. We've been beta testing this deck and really figuring like tweaking it, fine tuning it to make it the most fun, ridiculous Strangeville Hack Movies game it can be, and it's fucking fun and fucking funny. And then this is what I've been doing. So now that I've got the game, it's not 100% done, but I'd say that game is about 80 to 90% tweaked. It's almost ready to play. It's almost ready to go. So then what's next? Well, you can't have a card game without card art. So I've been working on, and I've got about 25 of there's going to be 108 cards in the deck. I've got about 25 of them sketched out, and they're not, these is still prototype phase. So one of the weed cards that'll just give you like a +1 weed. Weed is what you buy cards with, but it's other cards with, but it's also your life. If you run out of weed, you lose the game. So there are different types of weed in the game. Some give you more spending points, some give you less. So this is, if you can see that, this is a skinny joint, which only gives you a couple of, only gives you one little weed point. So it's kind of a bunk ass little weed card. But you can see she's holding this little tiny skinny joint. She's got a little nose ring. She's wearing a flat bill that says Hack Movies on it. None of the women in my art ever wear bras. So she's got a little nipple pokage coming out of her little top there. So that's just this is just one weed card from the game. This is the skinny joint.
Very few women in your art even wear clothes.
This is true. It's true. This is the Cletus Choke card. That's Cletus Choke driving down the street with his mullet blowing in the wind, choking a ghost. If you can see that. This is all my chicken scratch. This is basically like me writing in cursive. Most people would never see what that even means. is Hack Minions for Life. This guy has the Hack Movies tattoo I have on my arm right there. He's got that. He's flipping the camera off and also showing off his Hack Movies tattoo. That's the Hack Minions for Life card. And then I've just got this. This is a scene from Colonel Kill Motherfuckers. This is Colonel Kill ripping Wilhelm's heart out in the Colonel Kill movie. This is the Colonel Kill card. So I'm sketching through and I'm making all these different little sketch cards. This is Shaniqua.
Yeah, I love that one, dude. You showed me that one. I think that
from Nixon and Hogan Meet Satan. This is Shaniqua summoning the devil. This is a good one. I like this card. This is a Bong Rips card. Bong Rips actually give you 3 weeds, so her titties are out. She's wearing a little beanie with a skull on it.
That's killer.
This is the Wolfram card from Wolfram and Wingate from Stiff Jobs and Cockhammer.
That looks killer like that.
I got Steve-O McQueenie. He's Shaniqua's boyfriend, and he's summoning the devil right there. He's got these little notes from the internet how to summon the devil. If you've ever seen Nixon and Hogan Meet Satan, as soon as
that one, actually, I've seen that one.
Yeah, as soon as Shaniqua and Steve-O summon the devil, he immediately murders them, which is really funny. I got the tranny demons from Cockhammer.
Yeah,
3 green demons from Cockhammer. They're in it. So anyway, it's just fun stuff like that. Here's Mortalk the Warlock from Nixon and Hogan Smoke Christmas.
So how many drawings do you have to do to complete this?
108.
108.
Here's the Dick Monster from the movie I never made called It Came From My Pants. It Came From My Pants was supposed to be the second movie we ever made, and I never made it. And I kept saying, like, okay, gang, it's next, and then I wouldn't make it again. And it just became this running joke that It Came From My Pants was always the next movie, and I never made it. It is an unfinished Hack movie. This is a dick. Can you see the dick head is split down the middle?
Yeah, it kind of looks like one of those plants that eat. It's like he's got a dick head with a fucking, what are those plants called? Flytrap. Yeah. Venus flytrap head. Yeah.
Lots of veins. It's very veiny dick.
Fucking pretty rad.
So anyway,
what it feels like when you have a kidney stone.
Yeah.
That's what your dick turns into.
Anyway, yeah, I have to do 108 of these. And now here's the thing. I've been doing actual 11 by 17 giant pictures of these cards. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do 100 of these things. I mean, obviously I did 120 for the comic books, so I can. Yeah. I physically can, but I'm like, because here's the this is for the Phalomax card from Cockhammer. The Cockhammer's one weakness is a dick knife. Here's this is the sketch card, and then I actually did a full-on 11 by 17 version of it, and I also have an underneath this is a 11 by 17 version of Shaniqua.
Yeah, that's the one I saw the other day.
Summoning the devil.
I love the sleeves on her shirt. The sleeves are real neat.
The question is do I take all the time to sit here on a piece of 11 by 17 Bristol board and draw every single one of the 108 cards in a big, detailed, full version like this before? Because this thing is going to go, like, no matter how big I make this or how small I make this, whether I use this one or I use this one, this gets scanned, and then I digitally ink over it and then color it.
Yeah,
I could do that to this. I could do one that's only this card's only 5 inches wide. It's a little bit bigger than my dick.
Right.
And this one's 11 by 17, almost the size of your dick.
Right, or something like that.
In length and girth.
Yeah. I got more of like a tuna can thing going on.
So the question is do I take the time to do it like this, because it's all getting digitized and digitally inked and colored anyway. So is it worth the trouble to pencil this big?
Me and you have talked before about like things like you're immaculate with your pencils, and I don't put very much time into my pencils at all, So, I mean, I think that some of it just comes down to how you choose to do it, because like you said, you could do it off of either one, No, the one cool thing about those big finished, like huge ones like that is like they could become their pieces of art within their own selves, you know?
I didn't sell very many of those though.
No.
With the comic book, campaign, I had original pencil art as a perk, as a tier.
I remember that. Yeah.
I don't know. I sold 3 or 4 of them. Mostly, I gave them away to my friends, that supported me,
Yeah.
that had been there with me. Oh, I don't know why I'm still hogging the screen. Because I can see you down at the bottom, so I'm still like I'm still having a conversation with you, but the audience doesn't see you; they're just looking at my big stupid head. But anyway, I don't know if people would be into, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, if I sell these big ass, to me, yes, this is awesome, and I would love to put this as a tier when I go, because I am going to do the card game on Indiegogo, and I would love to have a tier be the 11x17 original pencil art, but I don't know if anybody's going to buy them.
Yeah, I think that it's like one of those things where you never know if anybody's going to buy anything.
If I do them that big, it's going to take me a year.
Yeah,
just draw all the cards,
especially because of how you can get really anal about your pencil work. So
which will honestly make the inking a lot easier.
But that's what I'm saying though, is that it would be a time-consuming ordeal, pretty much.
Like take this piece of shit. That's if I just scan this diaper, this is a scene from
this scene before where
you Smoke Christmas, where Hogan eats his own shit.
Yeah,
an adult diaper, and this chick, that's actually a chick right there, is encouraging him on. She's got a pile of shit in her hand that she's admiring.
I've seen that before.
You see how rough this is. This is terrible, rough. This is these types of little thumbnails are just to get an idea of the layout. The balance of the characters, the camera angle, as it were, of what you're going to have. And if I just scanned this and went right to work on it, it would be a hell of a lot of work in the inking phase.
Yeah,
I would basically have to digitally repencil this and then ink over those pencils. So is it really going to save me any time?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not, because I feel like I spend a lot of time in my inking and you spend a lot of time in your pencils. But if you mix it all together, it's probably the same. It's just like, which way do you want to do it? Because if the pencils are perfect, then it's just like, okay, I just followed,
But make a couple of modifications and adjustments here and there.
But when they're that rough, dude, I mean, when it's as rough as what you're showing there, and most of the stuff I start inking is that rough.
I already know
on the time.
If I digitize this, or when I digitize this, like one of the things I'm going to do immediately is make his head a little bit smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I drew his head too big, but I like it.
Yeah,
I think that the head is great, so I don't want to erase it and redraw another head. But digitally, I can crop that out real quick and shrink it
a little bit,
just a second. So that would be just a couple little things that I would do to the pencils.
You showed us how to do that in the previous video with a lady's vagina.
I sure did. Did I say it was too small or too big?
It was too small. We needed to beef it up a little.
Well, let's be real. There's no such thing as a vagina that's too small. But aesthetically, I wanted it to look a little different.
There is, however, one that's too big.
Absolutely.
I saw one on the internet one time that looked like one of those sandworms from Star Wars.
Right. So that's where I'm at, man. That's what I've been doing. And when we keep ramping up and do more shows here, you'll just be seeing me sketching along. I got this whole fucking stack. I've got about 20 out of that. Sketched out.
Yeah. Now
I've got 2.
When we first started doing these shows, we were in drastically different parts of the creation process. But now we're both to penciling fucking index cards again. Because that's all I'm doing too right now. I got the second issue of this book pretty much fully storyboarded or thumbnailed or however you say it, So now it's just put that to the paper. You know,
Tell us what's going on with this Indiegogo. Are you going to do an Indiegogo?
Do an Indiegogo. I hate to be this guy that says this, but I have a special needs son, and I love him to death. He's the sweetest thing. He's the sweetest kid, but it's hard to work sometimes in the day, especially with anything because he loves numbers and he loves letters, and like, so if you have the computer out, the keyboard, you know, he wants. So that's one of the reasons, dude, that if you've noticed, my schedule is so fucking weird because I don't ever even usually get to start drawing, like where I'm really getting to draw until around 8 o'clock at night, and then it's hard to set it down, you know. But I haven't Indiegogo completely started. It's like how you were saying, you become a graphic designer of laying out all these, and I don't want to rush it and just where it's like, okay, this is this same image with a new pitch, you know. I want it to look good, so we've just kind of taken our time, and I think it'll probably be like another couple days and I can have it done. But there was a lot more work that went into making that Indiegogo page than I knew there was going to be too. They want a lot of graphics. They want a lot of take the graphics and words over them, and then even just all the where you write out a bio, you write out all this. I'm going to make a video for it. So
and each of your tiers needs to be explained. It has to have
and they want a feature for those, and so it is a lot of work, and I've never done one before, and
you got campaign videos you got to worry about.
That's what I'm saying. It's a ton of work, and I wasn't prepared for I thought it was going to be I don't know, honestly, way less, I guess, going into it, you know. And well, it's kind of like the same thing with this book. I made the poster and I made the trading cards, and I could have made them from art I already had, you know, but I wanted them to be something that wasn't somewhere else. I wanted a poster that you weren't going to be able to open up the book and find it, or, you know, I think that what we do is draw. So anytime there's something that you can put a new drawing on, you should fucking put a new drawing on it, you know. But then that all takes time, you know, to sit there and draw all these things out. So I am going to do an Indiegogo. But like I said, right now you can also, if you just DM me on Instagram, or like I said, throw a rock at my house until I come outside, you can get the book from me that way too. But there will be an Indiegogo campaign at some point, and probably not too long from now is when it will kick off. A couple days, you know.
Cool. Well,
yeah.
I'm about spent on that note. We did this on Facebook this time just because I wanted people on Facebook to sort of see what we're up to, you know, see what we're doing. There are people that just fucking camp on Facebook, man. They camp there, they live there, and if you don't talk to them on Facebook, you don't exist.
Yeah.
That really annoys me because Facebook is trash. It's garbage. It's nothing like it ever was. Like, if it ever was worth being there to keep up with friends and family, it's not anymore because everybody's friends and families have blocked them because they have the wrong political views.
Yeah.
We don't keep up with each other. It's just this narcissistic, posting of memes, and the memes are often very psychologically toxic. It's a lot of memes that
it's off one group or another, pretty much.
Yeah, it's either political memes or it's memes. Like, the memes that bother me the most are memes that reinforce depression, thought patterns that reinforce depression, or reinforce anxiety, or reinforce mental illness. And when you spend all your day looking at nihilistic mental health memes, and reinforcing your belief that you're this victim that can never overcome these mental challenges, and you just flood social media with it, and then look for validation from other people that also have mental illness, it becomes this feedback loop of really, really bad thought patterns that honestly, and I hate to be this guy, but will honestly lead to suicide. And I know that they used to say that, heavy metal, they tell you in heavy metal songs to kill yourself. Therefore,
these grease backwards will make your head blow up.
Yes. And here I am, the guy going the memes are going to get you to kill yourself. But these are memes that literally reinforce the idea that suicide is your only answer. And these people live in this feedback loop where they repost these memes and validate each other's opinion that suicide's the only way out of mental health problems.
The other thing that I hate about really memes in general is and I see it all the time, and I know everyone probably, you might not think about it, but you see it, is that people see a meme and then they're like, look, this is me. This is me.
That's what I mean. They want validation.
Or this is you. This is you. Or this is me. It's
they want this validation that this, and a lot of those memes are really insidious. Yeah. They're really insidious in nature in that they don't, maybe the person, because the kids that are making these memes are 13-year-olds. They don't have the life experience to be telling you for those, because again, it's like all I see on Facebook anymore is, here's a meme, this is me, this is me, this is me, and validate me and agree with me that this is
that like button, laugh at it, give me a heart.
And those memes are often extremely nihilistic and extremely detrimental to mental health. And that's what I mean. I'm like, this is just, and it's some 13-year-old kid that doesn't know better. I'm not like attacking meme makers. I'm not saying memes are bad or that meme makers are bad. I'm saying that there can be an unhealthy obsession with a particular type of mindset that posting memes on Facebook reinforces.
Yeah, and then all you do is sit there and try to identify with everyone.
Identify with these things that 13-year-old kids with no life experience are telling you that you act like.
And I feel like even lately, the meme makers have been just lazy even. You'll see memes that it's like the same picture, but you can find 100 different sayings on the same,
Yeah, well, more than 100, thousands.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Hundreds daily.
Right now,
what that is
driving me crazy is like a woman and she's screaming, and then there's like a cat.
Yeah, the woman and the cat meme is so obnoxious at this point, and it's like, but think about it. If you were a 13-year-old kid and you were the meme maker, that's what you want. You want this to be an obnoxious meme. You want to just push this on people and make people roll their eyes and go, this again, and then you go, okay, boomer.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing is like, and that's what I mean by memes can be insidious. And all Facebook is people feeding into that. Yeah. And I don't care. And maybe that makes me old. I don't care. I still like dick and fart jokes and I still like fucked up shit. But there's a way to enjoy subversive art. And then there's a way to be an obnoxious 13-year-old that isn't making life better for anybody. And then there's being a 20-something or 30-something millennial that sits on Facebook all day going, this is me, this is me, this is me, oh, this is me, oh, at me next time.
Just sitting on the toilet, just looking at just all day.
All day, just
go outside, doesn't do anything. Yeah.
You're making it's obnoxious. It's dumb. And again, maybe that makes me a boomer. Maybe the title of this show should be Okay Boomer. But you know what I say to Okay Boomer? Okay Moomer. Okay. I mean, when we lose the ability to fight like little kids with each other, like you call me a boomer, I'll call you a moomer. You're a millennial boomer. You're a moomer. Okay, boomer. We'll do that back and forth till somebody gets tired. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to get tired first.
Right? Yeah. You got nothing to do.
It's an argument with me, and I turn into a fucking 12-year-old faster than shit.
Oh, yeah.
Shit. I'll fuck you up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thump them on the forehead when their mother isn't looking. What happened to him? I don't know.
No idea.
What did you do? Tell him and I'll eat your fucking face off, kid.
Swallow your soul. Swallow your soul.
Anyway, man, that's what I'm just
arguing with 12-year-olds online. Ever, I don't. And if someone's like, "Hey, man, that's really petty," and I'm like,
I happen to know a lot about being petty. Anyway, I have no interest in sitting around on Facebook. It's dumb. I'm not going to repost memes all day long. I'm not going to repost the same fucking meme with a couple different words on it all day long.
Yeah, and I like Instagram a lot, even though I think that since Facebook bought it, it sucks more than it did before.
What do you think about that new change where you no longer see the number of people that like a post?
I think it's weird because it will still. I was just noticing this the other day that if you go over 1,000 likes, it will still say liked by thousands.
Yep, or millions.
Millions. I mean, you're liked by millions. It's just like they won't tell you the exact number, but you still get the idea.
So I've heard that the reason that they wanted to do that was they're tired of Instagram. Social media influencers being able to leverage their the number of likes they get to get sponsorships through product placement.
Yeah, well,
where Instagram.
They're doing it as also an experiment to see if people are more likely to click on things. Like I'll like this because it has, not me personally, but people will like things because it's been liked a lot. I guess.
But like you said, once you hit thousands, it says thousands of others. You hit millions, it says millions of others. So a tastemaker on Instagram, an Instagram social media influencer that carries around a Gucci handbag and it says liked by Bob Smith and millions of others is still going to have the same fucking clout. You don't know that it's 1,695,000, but you still know it's fucking millions.
Millions, right? Yeah. So I don't really see much of a difference in it overall because, like I said, if it just says others, it's under 1,000. Then it says thousands, it's got thousands of likes, millions, what? So it's just like no. It's the way that like the American government fixes things,
Has there ever been 1 billion likes on an Instagram post?
I know YouTube videos for sure have had
1 billion views, but not 1 billion
views. Yeah, no,
that's what I mean. Are we going to see Bob Smith and 1 billion others like this Instagram photo?
A trillion, other people like.
How far does the algorithm go before it breaks?
Right, yeah, or they just like show it's like Bob Smith and then like a picture of the world. It's like everyone.
The world, Bob Smith and everyone.
Yeah, I've been getting a kick out of. I know this will start. Like I shouldn't say this right now, but I've been getting a kick out of this group of people that thinks that NASA is a conspiracy, and I don't know why, but I can't stop laughing at it and heckling them online because. It's like, how in the fuck is like that and then that dinosaurs aren't real are two things that for me that are like, how? So like they just planted all these dinosaur bones so that we'll be fooled, Well,
here's the thing about flat earthers. Flat earthers have proven that having access to a library of information that spans the entire history of the human race doesn't matter if you haven't learned how to process information. Yeah. If you don't know how to think critically about the information in front of your face, then you will come to preposterous conclusions. And what's scary. But again, like the flat Earth society, as it were, it's a bunch of 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
They haven't learned how to critically think. None of that information is. Well, look at it. Well, but look with your eyes. It's like looking with your eyes doesn't. We know down to the day when Halley's Comet is going to come back to Earth, and it only comes around every 70 years.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody figured that out with their eyeballs. They figured it out with telescopes and technology, and we figured it out through red shifts and blue shifts. We figured it out through scientific discovery. They didn't figure it out by going
come and go.
That's what I mean. It's when you say watch it come and go. We watched it come and go with telescopes that we created through the use of like we learned that prisms will show things clearly that are way too far away for the human eye to experience. And for the fucking 13-year-old to say I zoomed my iPhone all the way to the horizon and it didn't curve. It's like,
yeah, my iPhone's flat.
Yeah. That's just it's an inability to think critically about information. So giving the internet gave human beings unlimited access to all the world's information, and we still don't know how to look at it. Yeah. We're just monkeys pressing buttons at the end of the day.
Dumb people.
Smartphones, dumb people. Yeah. No matter how smart you make the phone, a dumb person is going to think the world's fucking flat.
Right. NASA's a conspiracy.
That's what it's going to come. Well, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes for the world to be flat. Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Everything's burn it all, and keep the world flat.
And here's the thing that because critical thinking is a nuanced thing, because you could point to does the U.S. government lie to its citizens every day? Lies to you every day. Well, if it lies to me about that, why wouldn't it lie to me about fairies invisibly floating around my head? It's like, because there are no fairies floating around your head.
Or UFOs, like all that,
That's what I'm saying. It's like they use the fact that we have a subversive government to justify fantasy. And it's like, if you could think critically, you could think that two things can be true. The government lies to you about everything and also isn't lying. Well, first of all, the government doesn't tell you, like, it's not the US government's job to discover whether or not the earth is flat or round. It's your job.
Yeah.
It's up to you to research science and the history of scientific discovery to understand the physics and mathematical equations that went into learning the circumference of the earth. We know the exact circumference of the planet, not because we flew up and looked down at it with our eyeballs, but because of the rotation of the sun, where the moon and the sun are in relation to each other, how far stars are away, and how fast they move in the night sky over decades. We learn these things a long time. Copernicus, Galileo, they weren't looking at the fucking sky with their bare eyes. Right. They were utilizing technology. They were discovering the circumference of the earth through mathematical equations, not by like looking at the horizon.
Yeah.
The horizon here's the thing. The US government lies to you, so does the fucking horizon.
Right.
Our eyeballs are only, our eyeballs fail when it comes to looking at something the size and scope of the planet Earth.
Yeah.
You can't look at it with bare human eyes and see what shape it is. That's just the reality of the physics surrounding a gigantic ball.
Yeah, and where your eyes stop seeing, it doesn't have anything to do with where the Earth keeps going, so. But yeah, I just been having I read all these memes, and I tried to watch this documentary on it the other day because I was like, I want to understand how these people have gotten to this. And I turned on the documentary, and about 5 minutes into it, I was like, click.
Because hundreds of hours of people justifying flat Earth, and none of it is scientific. None of it is
bonkers, dude. It's bonkers. But yeah,
my favorite flat Earth meme is the solar system. The sun is a ball. Venus is a ball.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The sun, Mercury, Venus. Earth is a flat box.
Earth looks like a record. Yeah.
It's a flat rectangle. And then Mars is a fucking sphere.
Yeah.
Jupiter.
Man, why don't we get real creative and just say that every planet is a different shape?
Why is everything we look at a ball except us?
Yeah. I think we should get creative, give them all their own shape.
Anyway, I'm off here, brother. We're into flat Earth now.
All right. Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Later, bro. See you soon.